Hello there, and welcome to the third lesson of the online training. This lesson we will be looking at editing. Now, editing used to be something like this for most of film history. Here's a film strip, pair of scissors, and this is a cut. Now today it's all done digitally, of course. This lesson has three parts: a video introduction, an article to read with a quiz question, third, as usual, a practical editing exercise. Obviously, editing is not something you can learn in an online lesson. So wait a minute, why make a lesson on it then? Well, this lesson is about giving you a basic framework for thinking about editing, and as usual there will be a practical side to it. This is the beginning of a journey at the end of which you might be able to edit fluently and smoothly. Now, I'm using the teachings of one of the greatest gurus of editing film. His name is Walter Murch, and he wrote a book called In the Blink of an Eye. And this is a copy in Hungarian, but of course you can buy it in many languages. This is what Walter Murch says. How do you want the audience to feel? If they are feeling what you want them to feel all the way through the film, you've done about as much as you can ever do. What they finally remember is not editing, is not the camera work, not the performances, not even the story. What they finally remember is how they felt. In other words, editing should be first and foremost about communicating emotion with images and sounds. Everything else is secondary. So what is it that you actually need to go from filming with your camera to actually editing something? Well, that's the tricky bit. You need some knowledge to go from the raw video material to an edited piece of film that you can, for example, upload to a website. This knowledge can be summed up by 4 points. 1. Workflow. 2. The organization of different media. 3. Practice, feedback, practice. And 4. Patience. Workflow describes the way you go from the camera to the computer, and then from the computer you get your final video file. It's about what goes in the computer, what happens in there, and what goes out of it. Without a clean workflow, editing seems like an enormous technical challenge. There are hundreds of cameras and different resolutions and different lenses out there. There's hundreds of compression types. The basic message is you need to learn to shoot on one camera. It can be a small camera. You need to find a software that works with your camera, that accepts your files from your camera, and in the end you need to learn what is the final compression that you will usually use. For example, I'm shooting this on a Blackmagic camera. This camera records in a ProRes format. This is the format that my editing software, Final Cut Pro, likes. So in my workflow I have Blackmagic camera, ProRes format, Final Cut Pro, and Final Cut Pro allows me to create a file that is suitable for the internet. So if you're going to learn Adobe Premiere or Windows Movie Maker or iMovie, you need to check your workflow. What files does your camera record? What files does your software accept? Some software does not like some files. And finally, what is the final compression that your software needs to create for you? For sharing videos online, we usually use the H.264 compression. That's right, it's H.264. That sounds like the name of a robot. But actually, if you visit YouTube's or Vimeo's compression guidelines, you'll see that this is quite important. Whoa, that was technical. Remember, the goal is to have a clean workflow that works for you. Second, let's talk about the organization of the different media. This guideline simply talks about having a system for how you save your different media files. In every project, you're going to have a range of different media files. Before you start editing, you need to have set up a system of folders for all the material. For example, I would have a folder called Video Day 1 for the material that I shot on the first day. I will have a folder for sound, music, a different folder for texts. Everything that has to be written on the screen, I will save it in a Word document or a Notepad file to have it ready to copy it into the editing software. I might have still images. I might have graphics like logos of institutions that fund the projects. Now each of these play a part later on when you're editing, so you better have a simple, clear way of keeping them. And finally, always make a backup copy of everything, especially if your project is important for you or for somebody else. You better save a copy of your folder system on another hard drive in case your hard drive breaks, or you lose the whole edit, or there's some other disaster happening in your studio. The third point is about practice, feedback, practice. Now what does that mean? The only way you can learn editing and shooting videos is by practicing the actual thing. Once you made an edit, I recommend that you show it to someone that you trust and ask them what they think about your edit. One method recommended by many editors in the world is to show your edit to someone or a small group of people, and as they are watching your edit, watch them watching the edit. Are they bored? Are they engaged? Are they laying back, tuning out, yawning? Or are they with your material? Are they interested in what you are giving them? With this kind of feedback, you can then go back and make an improvement to your edit. The more loops of practice, feedback you do, the sharper, better, cleaner your videos will become. And finally, the fourth point is patience. To learn to edit is comparable to learning to write. You need to take one step at a time, and you have to trust yourself that with enough practice you're going to become fluent at it. Don't start with a grand documentary idea that's going to change the world, because that's going to be a painful road. Start with a simple exercise until you're confident, and then move on to the next level. Alright, so let's wrap up this lesson and let's talk about the assignment. So your assignments are to read the article about Walter Murch and the 6 rules of video editing, answer the quiz question in the forum and on Facebook, and then download 5 shots which I uploaded just for you. These are shots taken at a fundraising event. This was a fundraising event for cancer research, and I selected 5 shots which can be combined into a meaningful sequence. So your job is to find the workflow and upload a little edit of these 5 shots that makes sense for you. If you don't have an editing solution, please use YouTube's video editor. You will upload these 5 shots to YouTube and use the built-in function to edit the video. We provided a tutorial for this in the lesson, so you can watch that if you're not sure how to get started. Once it's done, upload your work to the Facebook group and wait for the feedback from me and the others. Alright, enjoy the lesson.